victims, and welcome to Survivor's Guilt. Today we look at the 2019 movie Crawl. Written by Sean and Michael Rasmussen, directed by Alexandre Aja, starring Kaya Scodelario and Barry Pepper. Crawl is a movie about a father and daughter working to mend their eroding relationship while trying to survive a hurricane made out of alligators. A gator cane? We open to Haley, the self-titled apex predator of competitive college swimming, which provides some backstory as well as some important character traits.
Don't cry. Don't let them see you cry, Haley. You will get them next time. All right? Because what are you? Huh? What are you?
The apex predator.
Yeah, you are. Apex predator. All day.
We are then introduced to what I'm begrudgingly going to have to count as characters, Haley's sister Beth and her daughter Lily.
They said it was gonna miss us.
Don't you get alerts on your phone? It's gonna hit really hard. Anyway, Haley, listen, have you heard from Dad?
No, why?
Beth can't get a hold of their dad and wants to know if Haley has heard from him.
Because I thought you might have heard from him.
Well, I haven't. Not for a while.
Haley, determining that the roads will be clear of people because of the evacuation, decides to head to her dad's house to check on him. But the roads are not clear because people in Florida might not know how to drive, because they're all old. That's Florida, right? A bunch of old people and weirdos? And I can say that because I was born in Florida. I am so Floridian that my hair grows into a natural mullet, so don't at me, bro. Haley runs into an old boyfriend of Beth's, and unfortunately for her, he can't let her through.
I can't. I wouldn't want you to get hurt.
And unfortunately for him, she's libertarian and doesn't respect his authority and drives through anyway. She arrives at her dad's condo, and we learn of a recent divorce that has left her dad a little depressed and a lot of pathetic.
Beth, there's pictures of you, me, and Mom laid out everywhere. This condo is horrible. It's depressing. God, it scarred me for life.
Never.
And we are introduced to Sugar, the family's mascot. But her dad isn't home. But he might be at the old family home that hasn't yet sold. So Haley heads there because it's only a hurricane after all, and she's in luck because his truck is there, so she goes in to find him. She searches the house while the storm rages outside. When she realizes that she can hear music coming from under the house, she elects to trek under the house to turn off the radio so as to not waste the batteries, just in time for her jump scare. Down in the crawl space, the movie begins really ratcheting up the tension, while Haley finds something much more concerning than the radio. Her dad, Dave, wakes up and warns her about the gator, and he's a hurtin' for certain, but alive.
What's happened? Oh my God.
Haley finds a tarp and begins dragging her unconscious father towards the exit. This is one of my favorite parts about this movie is the main characters are not idiots, and they are incredibly likable as well as resourceful and realistic. For a movie with such a simple premise, it is executed very well, and is tremendously entertaining. But I digress. We need to get back to the jump scene. The gator forces Haley to retreat back into her corner to reevaluate her exit strategy. Her dad, Dave, wakes up and warns her about the gator, as well as the hurricane, by reminding her that she needs to go.
You need to go. Now.
Not without you.
I don't need your help.
And it appears that his claim to not need help is as hollow as his leg, since his inside bone is on the outside. Haley notices her phone ringing just out of the safe zone and sets out to retrieve it. Dave, being a huge fan of Steve Irwin, drops some gator facts on her before she goes.
You keep your eye on him. They can't hear you out of the water. They can see you in the dark. They're not as fast at it.
I know that.
But he neglects to tell her not to feed them after midnight and not to get them wet. As she ventures out to retrieve her mobile, she and Dave engage in small talk that fleshes them out even more as likable characters. When Haley recovers her handheld, she confirms that the gator is at a safe distance before attempting to call an emergency number. This is probably the only decision a character makes that I could truly criticize. But honestly, how many gators could really be down there? Turns out, several. As we find out another of the film's well-executed jump scares. Unfortunately, Haley is not as good at crawling as she is at swimming, and the monstrous reptile catches up to her. Sorry, Haley, your whole body has to be in the safe zone. Those are the rules. Haley proceeds to get tossed to and fro by every wind of gator, before finally freeing herself but eventually climbing into a secondary safe zone, but not before stabbing out one of the eyes of one of her house guests. That's for Chubbs. Damn, these gators sure do love their jump scares. Father and daughter then take a moment to participate in an age-old father-daughter tradition, nursing their leg wounds. And in true Florida form, the state continues producing predators that pose a threat to Dave and Haley. If the wildlife doesn't kill you, the weather will. Florida is the Australia of America. Haley notices some people across the street at the gas station who are putting an ATM into a boat to keep it from getting water damage. The world could use more Good Samaritans like this, people willing to put their own lives on the line to help out small businesses. We're then introduced to the Junior Wet Bandits. Lee and Marv put the ATM in the boat while Marv's brother Stan gathers merchandise from the store for safekeeping. Haley's flashlight catches the eye of Marv and he becomes entranced by it, like a cat and a laser pointer. Unfortunately for Lee, Marv is too distracted by it to notice when she starts getting attacked by a patrol gator in one of the worst misunderstandings this century. Officers, I know what this must look like, but can we just give them the benefit of the doubt? They were going to return that stuff as soon as the storm subsided. Unfortunately for these three Good Samaritans, these green lives are above the law, and unfortunately for us, they are just as jump scary as the common house gator. And just like that, the Junior Wet Bandits meet their undignified ends at the hands of the Kevin McAlligators, giving us our first 3 deaths of the movie. Haley, looking for another way out of the crawl space, finds the only thing worse than a nest of alligators, a nest of spiders. No wonder this house wouldn't sell. Between the gator and spider infestation, it seems like the only thing that would take this house is a hurricane. Too soon? When Haley cannot open the escape hatch, her and Dave have to figure out an alternate way out, and quickly since the waters are filling up the crawl space rapidly. Sadly, their only other option is the overflow tunnel now known as Alligator Alley. Just when they start to lose hope, Wayne the police officer and his friend Pete show up in their street-legal police boat to save the day.
Stay with the boat, I'll be right back.
Dang it, Wayne, you shouldn't have said that. Now we know that you're just going to be gator bait. While Wayne searches the house, Pete pulls grass out of the propeller. In another one of the movie's most tense scenes,
There's 2 gators down here. Pete, do you hear that?
and most gratuitous. Oh man, this movie is so much fun. In 2 of the most over-the-top death scenes, Wayne and Pete shift the odds against our favor, adding the 4th and 5th deaths so far. The movie then hits us directly in the feels with some emotional exposition that makes us like these characters even more, and feel distress at their peril.
Mom was not happy and I was selfish.
Because of me.
It had nothing to do with you. Is that what you think? It was you and Beth who kept us together.
This very serious and very touching moment is then ruined in true dad form.
We are gonna beat these pea-brained lizard you and me.
Father and daughter make like a baby alligator and hatch a plan. While Dave distracts the dragons, Haley will head towards Alligator Alley. Dave traps one of the terrors under an ill-supported floor joist and proceeds to beat the hell out of it with a brick and a shovel. Haley, upon entering Alligator Alley, finds the Fountain of Wayne, as well as a bunch of eggs. Does a hatchery add to the value of the home, or nah? Another demon lizard finds its way into the home, as if to replace its fallen brethren. Or maybe it was answering the call of these adorable little hatchlings. Oh, you're so cute, yes you are! Luckily for Haley, the gators didn't disarm Wayne before storing his body in a cool, damp place. Haley retrieves the firearm just in time to have her arm chomped on by the gator's newest recruit. Haley, after exhausting the clip into the belly of the beast, pays little concern to her arm as she has little time to escape and then help her dad get out, so she continues to the overflow pipe to make her exit. In yet again another very tense scene which plays with not only claustrophobia but also aquaphobia, and then agoraphobia when she reaches the part of the tunnel that leads to the pond, the alligator's home turf. Sadly, Haley breaks open the floor too late, and Dave becomes our sixth death of the movie in one of its most brutal and touching scenes.
Dad, I'm coming! No!
Of course, until she brings him back, and now we're back to 5. Oh man, you guys should have seen the look on your faces. Once they realize that their cars aren't going anywhere, they look for alternate means of transportation. And fortunately for them, the Junior Wet Bandit's boat is still parked at the gas station. And double fortunate for them, Dave is not out of alligator facts.
They gather in the floodwaters because it's easier to hunt. They hunt with splashes. So if no splashing, I think the rain should cover us.
With gators swarming all around them and Hurricane Grand Theft Auto raging, they carefully make their way towards the boat, only for the rain to stop.
The eyes above us.
The gators, recognizing that their shields are down, start their trench run assault, and to make matters worse, the levees break, unleashing the floodwaters.
Levee's just broken. You need to swim. You're faster than they are. What are you? Swim!
Haley, having no time to waste, swims against the clock, current, and cousins of the crocodile to commandeer the watercraft and commit vehicular assault.
Apex Predator all day!
They load up into their newly acquired vehicle, but the storm doesn't think they should be outside the house, so it drops them off at home. Haley plays a game of the floors, Gators. Oh, she's really into it. But with the first floor flooded and the water levels rising, they realize that they must get up to the next floor of the house, and fast. Dave finds some flares and makes it to the final level, but Haley struggles to grab a police radio, which is her key to the final boss fight. When she does finally get the radio, she lets them know that the struggle is real. Dave, demonstrating the safe flare holding technique, keeps the flare far away from his body so as to not burn himself, but he holds it too far away from his body to keep his arm, so the gator gets it. Luckily, Haley takes one for the team and lures the gator back to the bathroom where she can flush it. But shoot, this thing is a little too big to fit in the tank, so she traps it in the shower stall instead. Haley and Dave make it up to the next floor, which is already underwater if the outside is any indication. Admittedly, that flare would not be easy to see from outside, but if there is anything I've learned from Jurassic Park, it's that big lizards love flares. And this one does too! Haley, locked in her room until she agrees to eat all of her dinner, is very concerned about the gator roommate she has, and she should be because it's a jerk. I'm not going to lie, the death roll has evaded me this entire movie, but I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. I mean, come on, alligators do a death roll for everything. They do a death roll when they bite their own tongue. This shouldn't be the first time we see it. That being said, I still love this movie, and they used their one death roll really well. She teaches this gator that smoking isn't actually cool, and then makes a break for it. While Dave tries to hack his way through the roof, Haley grabs onto a rain gutter to keep from being swept away by the floodwaters. But that gator had the same idea and goes for the same gutter she is on. Awkward. But with a stroke of luck and a stroke of this power pole, the gator gets swept away anyway. Right before Haley suffers a similar fate, Dave uses his good arm, because it's his only arm, to help her onto the roof. And shortly thereafter, they use a flare to flag down a rescue helicopter filled with cardboard pilots. So now, to find out, what are your chances of suffering survivor's guilt? This is where we take a look at the primary characters and the death that surrounds them to determine what your chances are of surviving this movie. Starting with the Junior Wet Bandits, Lee, Marv, and Stan, our first 3 deaths, followed by Pete and Wayne, the 2 officers who don't really do anything useful aside from providing Haley a gun at one point. That makes 5 deaths total. Now, let's look at who survives. We have our mains, Haley and Dave, and then our characters that we begrudgingly must include, Beth and her cute little daughter Lily. Which means out of a total of 9 characters, 4 survive, which makes your chances of survival 44.4%. That's not too terrible if I do say so myself, and it brings a little variety to our percentages so far, so that's kind of fun. So you know the drill. Let me know how these gators would bring an end to your life in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this video, consider checking out some of my other Survivor's Guilt videos. And consider leaving a like on this one. That helps me know that I'm on the right track with these things. And as always, if you want this channel to continue and you'd like to see where it goes, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell. Alright guys, until next time, thanks.
The National Weather Service has issued a flash flood warning for all of southern and western Florida. Catastrophic levee failure may occur. Residents should avoid low-lying areas.
No